Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the fourth episode of Split Screen Media. I'm your host, Connor Durose. With me, as always, is Chris Blankenship.
Hey, everybody.
And today, our special guest is the one, the only, Seabass. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. I'm glad I could squeeze you guys in, out of my busy schedule today.
Thank you for having us on your show. We really appreciate it.
It's an honor.
No, thank you.
All right. Well, today we're going to talk about movie theaters and how they don't have any money. So obviously no one's going to see movies right now. And if you are, that's a terrible idea. But with COVID going on, I want to say it was AMC and Cinemark both decided to close their doors indefinitely, probably at least until the middle of next year. And with that, a lot of movies that were supposed to be coming to the theaters have gone straight to either Blu-ray or streaming services. And the one that we want to talk about today, probably the most controversial one, is Mulan. And I'm sure a lot of you know about this, but for everybody who doesn't, Mulan is obviously a live-action remake of Mulan, the old 1994, 95, something like that. I don't know. But it's a remake of that old animated movie, and it was supposed to come out in theaters, I believe, in like May or June or July, something like that. And instead, Disney moved it to Disney Plus, where instead of just giving it to the people who pay for the service, which is, I believe, $7 a month, on top of that, you would have to buy the movie for $30. And it's still kind of debated about whether or not you would get to keep the movie indefinitely as long as you have the Disney service, or if it would like go away after Mulan becomes free on Disney or some other service, or when it comes out on Blu-ray or whatever. But I guess what I wanted to ask you guys is, what do you think about this? What do you think of this, of Mulan specifically, and then like this new way of people viewing movies in their homes?
So the original Mulan came out in 1998, by the way.
98. Okay, cool.
I think it's kind of scummy. I get they want to release movies, and they're not making any money right now because of COVID. So it makes sense that they release it on a streaming platform where they can get it to everybody. I just like watching a movie in your living room is different than like going to a movie theater. And like part of why movie theaters are so expensive is you get that experience. I'm not going to pay for that experience in my living room. And $30 is already way too high. Like I wouldn't go to a movie theater and pay $30 to watch Mulan. I'm certainly not going to do it at my house.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point.
And you're already, I guess really your house would have to factor in the Disney subscription, $7 a month. It's just too much, I think.
Yeah, close to like $40. Close to $40 for one fucking movie. But look, I mean, in their defense, I guess I can say that, like, they did all that production for the movie and then they shut it down like when COVID popped off. I don't know if they finished the movie before COVID happened. Don't quote me on that. But like, if they had to stop production, obviously, like, they probably thought of a way to keep paying like at least like a little stimmy for some of like, the studio workers. So maybe they're like, the reason for the inflated price is to try to like be able to pay off like what they did and try to come out with a little profit. But I agree that $30 is too high, and like there's no way they fucking made a profit off of that just from the number alone.
I'm actually really curious, so I'm looking it up right now. On The Atlantic, they have an article from September that looks like they grossed like below half their budget.
Oh, so
because the budget was like, it was like 200 million, wasn't it? It was something crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy high. Yeah,
reported budget of 200 million. Apparently, I think Yahoo put out an article that they grossed 261 million in 12 days, but Yahoo came back and said that they misinterpreted that, and that it could, based off of viewership like numbers and things like that, it looks like it's more likely between 60 and 90 million, which is less than half.
Wow. Oh, that's
yeah. How much?
Sad.
How much did they spend on production again?
200 million.
200 million.
200 million, and I didn't get a fucking Mushu, but it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, we should note that
Yeah.
too, because
Yeah.
there's no Mushu, there's no original songs, there's no there was something else that they left out too that was kind of iconic to the franchise.
I mean, they just probably didn't want to spend all that money on CGI, you know, and they thought they could just like get away with it, you know. It's just that when you use like, wait, this is what happens with I feel like anything when you use a beloved like franchise name and then try to like reimagine it, like it's gonna be hit or miss, man. And like you're gonna have people that are mad that like they didn't stay true to the original. And for this one, I feel like they've just pissed off both crowds where it's like, hey, you didn't stay true to it, and the movie sucks. And like everybody's like, well, you know, for people seeing the first time, it probably still sucks. So like, who cares? So it's a terrible adaptation. So they were never going to make money on it anyways. It was only going to be like the movie theater crowd. And it's like, hey, I'm going to go see this because I want to like just see how bad it is. Or like kids see it and they're like, ooh, I want to go see Mulan. So you take them to go fucking see it and buy like $30 popcorn.
Yeah, generally I think it's the families that want to see it. Just if I can talk about the movie itself for a second, because I haven't seen it, but what I thought was weird was that, you know, if you get rid of Mushu and you get rid of the songs and you do all this, you know, fine. If you want to tell your own story, that's fine. But what I thought was weird is that in the trailer, like Mulan is just supposed to be someone who's taking the place of her father in the army, and she's just a person. Like, you know, she obviously can. The whole point is that she is able to think differently and come up with new solutions for how they're, you know, the army like how strategically how they're able to take out whatever the bad guy's name is. I can't remember his name.
I'll just call him Evil Birdman because that's all I can.
Evil Bird Guy. They're really
Evil
trying
Bird
to kill
Guy.
Evil Bird Guy the whole time. But what was weird in the movie is that she's like, I don't know if you guys saw the trailer, but she's running up walls, like 90-degree walls. Like they turned it into a weird superhero movie, and she's having like these crazy sword fights, and it didn't make any sense. I'm like, why would you even call it Mulan?
It's because she's lighter than the 200-pound men that are wearing armor. She's wearing just robes, so she's able to backflip over these dudes and stab them in the back. I mean, that's come on, man. The logic's not flawed.
from a like, if you're gonna make Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, make Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Don't call it Mulan. I don't understand that. You know, whatever. If I can play devil's advocate for a second though, because I totally agree. I think it's a scummy business practice, and the idea that you're paying to license out a movie for a streaming service that you already pay for is shitty. But if I can put myself in the shoes of a Disney exec for a second, I think what they were trying to do is say, okay, we know that families are going to watch this movie. This is a family movie. We know everybody's going to get together. People, you know, who are 20 somethings aren't going to watch this by themselves. So in our mind, $30 is fair because that's about what it would cost for a family to go see this movie in a theater. So it'd be like $30 in tickets and then probably more with, you know, snacks and drinks. So they're like, okay, this is how we're going to recoup our money is by doing it this way. But the problem is that it's not like you can get Mulan on Vudu or Amazon Prime or whatever. You have to already be subscribed to the Disney Plus service, which is where I think they fucked up. Because if you're already paying for something in your mind, there's cognitive dissonance. You're like, I'm not going to fucking pay more money for something that I'm already paying for. Like, that's ridiculous. So I see where they're coming from, but I think you guys are 100% right.
I think they might have shot too high with $30. Like, for a new movie, like, I don't know what new movies are coming out right now, but if Mulan came out and it was like $5 more to rent it or something like that, like, I don't have a problem renting new movies if the price is like a decent, you know, like I pay every month for the service, whatever. I get some free movies, but then like there's an additional, you know, $5 per movie that I want to see. That's not too bad, in my opinion. $30 is crazy. Do you think $30 was like the optimal price point for them, where like it'll capture enough people that they'll make the money, but if they go less, like it's not like if it was $25, it's not really going to capture any more people. You know what I mean?
I think what they thought was that they thought, you know, $30 is about, like I said before, like $30 is what it would cost for a family to go. I think in their heads, they're like, we put it at this price point. Every single person who is going to see it in theaters is going to rent it at home. Mm-hmm. Like in their heads, they were like, we have every single person who was going to do that. And it's going to transition over to the streaming service flawlessly. the problem is that, and I think you said this early in the podcast, and I think it's, apt for sure, but like people don't go to or people do go to the theater for that theater experience. Like if you want to sit at home and, I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of movies on all of these streaming services that we all pay for each month. Like I don't need just this one Mulan movie. I can go watch other shit. If I wanted to see it in the theater, I would see it in the theater. I would have that experience. And right now we can't. So I think that's where they fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's weird that I think Mulan is their only movie so far that they charged, right? Because like they released Trolls, you didn't have to pay for that shit. They released Scooby Doo, but I guess in their defense, that's all CGI, so it's not really like they're not really stressed to pay out like real actors and shit like that. So it's less people to pay. Whereas Mulan, it's like a whole studio production. You got to pay those actors at the end of the day. You got to pay them what their contract says, regardless of what happened during COVID.
No, I think that's a great point, because there's definitely a fear to make. There's more of a fear to make that money back on Disney's part, because spending, $40 million on an animated movie or CGI movie like Scooby Doo is way less of a risk than spending $200 million on something live action that was supposed to be in the theater in the first place. And based on Disney's track record, I mean, Beauty and the Beast made $1 billion, Aladdin made $1 billion, the remakes, I mean. The Jungle Book made $1 billion. Like there was no reason for them to think that this wasn't also going to be a massive success. A critical success is up for debate, but people go see these movies. People will pay money to see that. So I definitely think
didn't expect COVID to hit this year. So
no, that and obviously that fucked everything up. But it's interesting because I think the other thing we were going to talk about was movies that are still in theaters, because there are some people who are still, going out, and there's some filmmakers who refuse to do this direct to streaming service deal. And one of those was Tenet. And Chris Nolan said, this is a movie that needs to be seen in IMAX. It needs to be seen in theaters. And he refused to put it on a streaming service immediately. And I think, he kind of suffered the consequences for that, because usually his movies do anywhere in the range of like $700 million to $1 billion. And this movie made $350 million and the budget was $200 million, which isn't a flop, but I mean, by Hollywood standards, that's nowhere near where this movie should have been.
Yeah. It made money, but yeah, like you said, it should have been higher. Do you think they can release it after COVID kind of dies down and they kind of start to reopen movie theaters, right? And you can
you could definitely do that, like they did with the was it Avengers? When they were like, let's re-release it or something, another cut.
Yeah, because they wanted to beat Avatar at the box office, so they're like, let's release it for one more weekend. And so we did.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely like in the cards. They could definitely do that, but it's not going to be like a main event. It's probably just going to be up there in like a regular movie theater. I doubt they would re-offer it in IMAX and stuff like that when other movies are going to be coming out that are going to be newer and more exciting. Yeah, going to be more like fresh in people's minds when movie theaters open back up.
Yeah, do you think there's going to be more competition when the movie theaters open back up? Like big budget movies competing for like theater time?
I think what you're going to have is, and what we're seeing right now, is a backlog of Marvel movies that that didn't come out this year. Mm-hmm. And I think next year they already have scheduled, if things, if COVID hopefully eventually starts to die down and things progress like they should, we're going to have like 5 Marvel movies in 1 year, which is going to totally dominate the box office. I mean, those movies already take up such a massive portion of theaters, but I guess the bigger question is too, will movie theaters be able to handle this? Will they reopen at all? Because AMC and Cinemark seem pretty, they said indefinitely, but indefinitely can mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
I know some chains were like renting, like us 3 could go rent out a movie theater for like one showtime for like $90 or something like that.
Let's do that.
Like they would let like a family or two like come in and rent out. They can't pack the seats, but they would give like a family or something like rent it out.
I
for,
would
like,
totally
$100.
I would totally do that if like that's an option where it's like if I can get enough people, like probably like let's say around 10 people for a normal size like movie theater. Let's not like a chain, not AMC, just a regular movie theater. Yeah, like you could split that between 10 people and still like that's basically you're paying less if it's only $90. I don't know like if they're gonna like upcharge you for like per person.
Yeah,
Like who knows how that model looks like, but that would definitely like if I was like an owner of a movie theater, I would probably consider that.
I feel like
Yeah,
I heard that. I feel like I
and for
heard
right
something
now,
like that.
that would be, about the price of a movie ticket now. But you would just be going with your friends, and then you would literally have the entire theater to yourself. I mean, that would be an awesome deal.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember what chain was doing it. I think a chain was doing it, but I think there's regulations on how many people can be in one spot, like congregated together. So I don't know if the movie theater can let more than 10 people in or something like that. But
That's probably about what it's like 10 to 12.
it's a way to generate a little bit of revenue, despite not being able to pack a movie theater full of people.
Yeah, 100%.
But I don't know if it pays for all the overhead and stuff. And obviously AMC and what was it, Cinemark?
I think it's AMC and Cinemark, yeah.
They obviously made a business decision to close their doors. So
Yeah, and I mean, who knows when this will, even it makes me wonder, like, even when this is all over and people are able to go out in public again and do this, will people go back to the movie theaters now that they haven't had them for so long? Now that it's been, out of your life and out of sight, out of mind, will people even consider doing that? Will they, or will they just want to stay home and do what they've been doing?
I think as we return to normal or whatever, I think people will look for those things that they used to do, like movies and going out to eat. And I think people will go out and do those things. I don't think they'll, I know a lot of people mentioned to get out and do things like that. So I think it'll, like, once the regulations are lifted on COVID stuff, I think people will go back out to the movie theaters and all that.
Yeah, I definitely think you're right. It also just depends on what comes out too, because I'm sure a lot of, obviously not the Marvel movies, but the smaller indie movies, they're like, we're not, we're going right to, we're going to let Netflix pay for us to be exclusively there, and we're not going to go waste our times with the theaters right now. So I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts, and hopefully it all comes back together. Because I love the movie theater. I love going to the movie theater, but not if it's not safe.
The only downside I have is how little the seats are. I get so uncomfortable.
Dude, they don't make those seats for human beings. It's like airplane seats. They're the fucking worst.
I always try and, if you can get the tickets like right above the handicap aisle, where it's like there's that bar and you get all that leg room. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I used to work at a movie theater, and we got yelled at a lot because people, I don't even know how this was on us, but people would go online and buy the handicap seats, and then we were supposed to go in there and tell them that they couldn't sit there. But there's a weird law because you're not allowed to ask somebody if they're handicapped.
I was gonna say, how do you determine if somebody's able-bodied or not? You can't do that by looking at them.
It's such a gray area. Like you can't exactly. So like you can kind of tell you're like, you look fine.
That sounds like a lawsuit just waiting to happen.
It really is.
You could bait them. You could just be like, excuse me, sir. You just got selected to win free popcorn and a free drink. We just need you to come out and pick it up. And if they get up and you're like, oh, this motherfucker, and slide a real handicap person in there. But they pay. But the argument also is that they paid for those seats already.
But so those seats are there to
be for handicap people. But it's just going to start a whole thing no matter what. You can't really like fight them.
I want to say I'm not advocating for purchasing those seats. I'm talking about the row directly behind them, where there's like a lot more leg room.
Right. No, because there's like a bar that you can put your feet up on.
Yeah, the bar is the best thing. I'm not saying buy the handicap seat if you're able-bodied.
People would get so mad too because they would buy those seats, and then like the actual handicap seats, they'd walk into the theater and they'd come back out and they'd be like, hey, there isn't a seat here. Like I paid for a handicap seat. I'm like, Yeah, it's a handicap seat. That's where a wheelchair goes, my dude. What? God, you don't know how stupid people are till you work in customer service, I swear.
Agreed.
Oh man. But I don't know. It makes me it definitely makes me question like what Disney is going to do next, or any company, any, you know, AAA movie company in general, cuz if that's true with what you said about Mulan, that it only made like 60 to 90 million dollars, that's a big problem. And I think what you're going to start seeing is a bunch of these movies that were supposed to be movies maybe turn into TV shows. So whatever movies were being made now, so like there's an Uncharted movie coming out. I can't guarantee you this, but it's likely that what'll happen is that movie will come out, and then the sequel to that will be a 8-part miniseries on Netflix or on Amazon Prime or something. And that's where the industry will go, because you can make that, especially with like all the new technology that's going into The Mandalorian, where you don't need green screens anymore. It can all be done in real time. You can create these like amazing vistas that look real on basically a nothing budget. I think that's kind of the direction that Hollywood's going to go in if these movie sales don't improve.
That's interesting. I was just going to ask you, because you mentioned Christopher Nolan didn't want that movie on direct to stream. You think direct to stream is the way the industry moves?
I don't know.
That's a slippery slope.
Yeah,
How about this? I'll break it into a 2-part question. Short term, yes or no?
Absolutely. I feel like it's in their best interest to, but any like movie that's already in production, like they're not going to be itching to do that because they already spent so much money like pre-production. But definitely now, like if I came to like a big studio exec and like pitched a movie, they're already working out the kinks where, like Connor said in The Mandalorian, like they're cutting costs by like doing all these like small little changes where it's like, why not? Like, why not be able to like just give it to a streaming service and like stream it as a mini series?
Yeah, I think that's 100% like the way that everything's going right now, for sure.
What about after movie theaters open back up?
Well, the only reason, I mean, that's tough too, because the only reason I say I'm like kind of iffy on it is because it hasn't worked yet. This new, it hasn't been, I shouldn't say it hasn't worked. It hasn't been 100% successful. As soon as Hollywood sees a movie go to streaming that does well, I'm assuming that's probably going to happen with the Black Widow movie. They're going to see that this, you know, even though a Marvel movie doesn't equal some small indie movie, but they're going to say, okay, this Marvel movie did really, really well on streaming. We lowered the price a little bit. Maybe they make it like $15 or $20, or they make it so that you can rent that movie without having to pay the subscription fee. They do something to change the formula, and then it works. That's when the snowball starts rolling downhill, and that's when you see everybody else start to do it. And then I think it's possible that we don't see these movie theaters reopen.
Yeah, well, I think we mentioned the experience earlier, like of going to a movie theater and how that helps. But the other thing, when I looked up for Mulan, how much they made, they have to guess because, well, for Mulan, kind of, they don't have to because people actually paid for it. But if you release a movie like free on Netflix, I can't think of any movies recently that have done it for sure, but I know there's movies that are like free on Netflix, and where Netflix did the whole budget for that. You can count like the views on it, but to translate that to like new subscriptions to Netflix or things like that, it's hard to tell exactly how much those movies make.
I always think of it as like, it's so interesting you say that. It's like a billboard to me. I'm like, how do you even measure how effective a billboard is? Like, you can say, okay, a certain amount of cars are going to drive by that billboard. You know, like there's 30,000 cars that drive on this interstate during that time. But you have no way of knowing how many people looked up at that billboard, how many people saw the billboard when it flashed at the right time. And that's exactly how I feel about these Netflix numbers. Like, how do you know that someone didn't just click on this shit because they're already subscribed to Netflix and there's nothing new out? They're like, oh, I'll watch the British baking show or what, I don't know, whatever the fuck the new thing is. but like it's impossible. And then how many people would have gone to see your movie in theaters versus if you're just sitting on your couch flipping through shit? It's impossible to say.
I don't think it's impossible. I think Netflix and Disney Plus and like Hulu and all them, they have analysts that look at those numbers. Like for a billboard, they know how many people go past it, but they have to come up with a number of like how many people they get from, I forget what the term is for it, but how many people, conversion rate, is that the right thing? How many people are they going to get from that billboard? And they can guess, and I think it's about how accurately you can guess that.
Right, yeah. I guess I didn't mean like in terms of how many people saw that. I guess I meant in more terms of like how many people would have seen this in a theater versus Netflix. There's no metric for that whatsoever.
Yeah, I think if they can anticipate, like, say you don't have Netflix, but you want to see this movie and you get Netflix because of that. I think they can anticipate that maybe a little bit. Obviously, it's all guesswork because you don't know until it actually comes out. But for budgeting movies out, I think that, you know, that's a very big like factor in how they budget it. And going forward, if you're going to do a direct-to-streaming movie, like those numbers have to be really good. And I think because there's so much guesswork, it's holding everyone back.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty similar with video games now too. People are saying, you know, video game piracy is going to be the downfall of the industry and all that, but it's the same thing where if someone illegally downloads a game, you can't say that they would have bought it otherwise. You know, does it count as someone stealing $60, or does it count as a no sale because they never would have purchased it in the first place? You know, it's like those metrics that are impossible to tell.
You know what's interesting is if you look at the music industry, because the music industry has already transitioned from like people buying music to streaming. Like it's way ahead of like movies doing the same thing. And the music industry is not making as much as they used to because the streaming services are cheaper. Like I pay like $9.99 or whatever for Spotify a month, and like that's all I pay. And I listen to a ton of songs, and some people it's free, but like before you'd have to buy each individual song or each album. They're just not making the money they used to. So
yeah, for like 99 cents per song. Now it's like what they probably get less than a cent for every like time we play it on Spotify.
It's less than a cent. I
wonder how much, like how they scale that. So is it just how well you're doing on Spotify is how much you get paid? Like, or is
it's per play, and it's like fractions of a penny. So if you get like a billion plays, it's a lot of money. But if you get like 1,000 plays, it's like nothing.
Gotcha. Okay.
But, you know, I saw some like graph where like over the years, like the music industry went like this, and then streaming started to come out and it came down. This obviously is not like broke, but it's less than what it was like 10, 15 years ago.
It's interesting too, because the music industry kind of got kicked into this new world of streaming because of stuff like LimeWire and Napster, where it's sort of people realized they could get this shit for free, and the music industry, there was no going back. The music industry had to be like, all right, how are we going to give people that sort of streaming capability that they want while also still making at least a little bit of money on this? And I think this is a really good compromise, but they are losing a lot of money.
I think the difference with the movie industry versus the music industry is that the movie studios are so like they will shut shit down in like terms of piracy and stuff. You know, I think they invest more in making sure that the movies they release stay in the theaters or stay on the streaming services. And the music industry, they don't do that as much. Obviously, they care about that stuff, but they don't do it as much.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Well, it's probably because of the cost, if you think about it. If I'm making $1 billion movie, like there's no fucking way I'm not gonna dish out the money to pay for people to make sure my shit stays off the internet.
I would almost, I don't know, in Hollywood, budgeting is crazy as it is, but I would almost certainly guarantee that anti-piracy efforts are included in a movie's budget.
I think they already are.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they are. If they're not, They should be.
But that's an interesting point too. Is just the amount. So like a movie costs whatever 300 million to make now, for going off like the Marvel movie standard, and a song, each song on an album is probably no more than 80K probably. So I mean, there is a to make it, depending on who you get to produce and the features, and there's a million different factors. You can make a song for nothing really, but I'm sure a lot of these artists, I'll use The Weeknd for example. He has a lot of famous people on his tracks, at least for not the new one, but Starboy had a bunch of people on it. So that can get a little bit pricey, but it's nowhere near the cost of an actual movie. So protecting that intellectual property and protecting that IP is, I think, probably a lot more important to these movie studios. So I totally agree.
So you don't think that's not going to be the thing that pushes it into the direct to streaming?
I don't know what it will be. I think eventually you'll get the movie equivalent of Movie Napster, and something will give, something will turn, and you'll see this shift, and it'll be very, very quick, probably over like 2 or 3 years, and there'll be some sort of app where you can stream pretty much all movies for $9.99 or $15 or whatever it is.
Well, okay, so for this, I know for the like renting buying model, it's usually like around $5-6 to rent a movie for 48 hours HD, and then around $15 to own it, and then if you go out to Target or some shit, it's like $20 for the Blu-ray. So I mean, the only thing that would push them more to direct streaming would probably be to try to keep that model, maybe inflate the prices. But the biggest factor I think that'll push them is ease of production. Like the easier it gets to produce a movie, like the more likely they're going to be like, all right, well now we can afford to do like just stream it instead of like paying for all the ads and paying for like trying to get into the movie theaters and all that stuff. So the only thing that's going to change their mind is the ease of production. If it costs less to produce before they put it out on like the streaming service.
Yeah, I mean, people stop buying physical discs, and they don't have to like ship all that stuff out to a bunch of different retailers, and they don't have to pay for someone to put together this box with the Blu-ray in it, and they don't have to make box art. And I mean, there's a million different factors that are really, really expensive about doing physical discs. So I think if we all move towards that that sort of digital way of purchasing this, then movies will definitely get cheaper in the end.
One can hope.
But as for, people not going to movie theaters, I can't. I mean, I see both sides to it, but it depends on how much longer we're all social distancing. It depends on how many movies they decide to put out next year. It depends on if these directors decide, fuck it, I'm not wasting my time with the theater, seeing if this like brick and mortar store is going to reopen. I'm just going to put my shit on Netflix. There's a million different factors, so it's hard to say.
Yeah. Do you want to move on to our next topic?
Yeah, Seabass, you want to go into the mystery topic?
Oh, we're doing it now? Perfect. Okay. Well, I kind of have like a couple things I want to talk about. Probably going to limit it down to two. One of the biggest ones is so I've been like keeping up with like the whole production of the Batman, and I don't know if you guys heard like where it's filmed. Like the city shut down pretty much to go into quarantine, but they're still continuing with production. It's kind of like, I don't know, jarring to me because you want to prioritize safety, and like I want to be selfish and just say go ahead and film the movie, but like you have all these people like standing around and they're still passing it to each other. I mean, if you think about it, if they're outside, cool, like, and they were still wearing masks and they have like all that precaution, but like what about the indoor scenes where they're like in a warehouse and you have a whole studio crew like fucking clustered fucking in a warehouse? Like that's still a concern. And it's just gonna like, just that kind of like recklessness is gonna like keep thwarting the production. Like it just got moved to 2022, and then like Robert Pattinson got COVID, and if they have a breakout in that studio, it's just gonna get pushed back even more. So I just wanted to know, what do you guys think about like the whole production during these times of COVID. Like, should we just try to like cut down the manpower? Should we like just try to blow through it? Are there any solutions you guys can think of? Like, what do you think about the whole situation in production?
I think you need to take it slower, in my opinion. I think, which sucks because it's going to cost more. But I think, because what happens if an actor gets COVID and then dies, right? Like that is
Right.
a totally, not totally preventable, but very preventable death. And you got to make sure that all the moving parts with your production is COVID safe, you're wearing masks, you're protecting your actors. Because really the only people that shouldn't be wearing masks in that realm are the people on screen.
Yeah, everybody else should definitely be as protected as possible. And
I
that's oh, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, and you got to make sure that they're doing tests. And I think like you might have to go more time in between. You know, if you have, you know, scene A on Monday, scene B on Tuesday, scene C on Wednesday, traditionally, maybe now you do scene A on Monday, do some tests, then you wait scene B on Friday, and then do some tests, and then after the weekend you do the next scene. And it makes production longer, but you're keeping everybody safe.
And that's kind of the $1 million question too, right? Because on the one hand, they're like, okay, obviously we need to work. We need to make sure that these people are getting paid. We need to make sure that that the movie industry keeps moving forward. But when you and to take breaks like that would be the most safe and secure option, I guess. But the problem is that if you are already unsure about how your movie is going to perform in theaters, especially, and this is a great segue from what we were just talking about, but if you're unsure with how it's going to do financially, then I don't know how much longer you want to rent out an entire section of a town or close an entire street, because that just adds like tens of millions of dollars to your budget, the unanticipated money that you might not get back. And Warner Brothers sees that, and I think being it's a business first and foremost, so they're going to be like, I don't, being the greedy corporate assholes that I'm sure they are. They're like, we don't give a fuck about your safety. Like, get this movie out on time. Make sure Robert Pattinson is in it. Make sure it's called The Batman, and that's all we care about. Like, I don't care if it looks good. I don't care if it's, people are safe. Like, we need to make money, and this has been, one of the worst years financially for every movie company in the world. So it's tough. I want everybody to be safe, but at the same time, I understand them being like, fuck it, we're just going to push through this. And I think even Robert Pattinson, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was actually back on set before his full quarantine had ended. Like,
it was as soon as they said, hey man, like, you don't have it anymore, they're like, all right, let's get back to production. Like, what if, like, I don't know, man. Like, if he had, like you said, if he had died, I mean, wouldn't that be even worse? First of all, it makes you look fucking bad. Second, you're gonna have to spend even more money to like either CGI him onto like a stuntman's like body, or substitute him with Travis Scott Batman. Like, you just don't know, man.
I think you just cracked the case.
It's just not. It's not safe, and either way, you lose out on money, no matter what happens. So
well, you're already losing money because of either delayed release or, you release it to theaters that aren't performing well, or to direct to streaming, which probably doesn't do as well either. It's tough. And they, at the end of the day, Connor, you're right. They got to make a business decision. They're trying to make a return on their investment. And I don't know. I think they make less money on a movie that is not going to do well now because of COVID, or they make a little bit more money and try and power through it at the risk of, actors and crew and everybody's safety.
What about extras, man? Those scenes where, big Ben blows up and you got 100 people in like a crowd just to shoot their surprised faces with their mouths open, like sucking each other's air.
That's not you can only make it so safe. I'm sure the camera guys have masks, and all the PAs, the
all the essential people.
Oh yeah, not the guy making $10 an hour as an extra or whatever. No, they don't give a fuck about that dude. That is an interest. Have you? This is totally off topic, but it is related to the Batman movie. Did you see all that stuff where they were saying that apparently Robert Pattinson's been kind of a problem on set? Like he hasn't come in at the proper weight. Like he either gained or lost a bunch of weight, and there's continuity issues with like how he looked in the previous scene, and now he's all skinny. And he just refuses to like put that muscle back on, and he's just being kind of an asshole to everybody on set. Again, these are all rumors, but there's a lot of stuff floating around about that.
Well, maybe it's because of that last movie he was in, the one with Tom Holland. He was kind of a dick in that movie, and he had a beer belly. So
the church one.
Yeah,
I heard that was pretty good, but I didn't see that one yet.
Well, if you want to see Robert Pattinson get his dick sucked. 10 out of 10.
I was rooting for him too, because I mean Robert Pattinson is a good actor. I know a lot of people were like Twilight, but he's been in a lot of shit, and he's really good. I didn't particularly like The Lighthouse. I thought it was fucking boring, but he's really good in it.
Yeah, he's a talented actor. Like, there's no denying it.
Yeah, for sure. And even just that one teaser trailer that was released already, I was like, oh, I'm all in for this. I was like, fuck, yes, this looks awesome.
Yeah, that's what I had. I mean, I also, like, just to take a little off topic, because I've been seeing this everywhere, but I've been too busy to do my research. What's this whole thing about Johnny Depp, getting fucking cut from his movie?
That's a good topic. I can't believe we didn't think about that before this.
That is a really good topic. So from what I understand, I know he was in that legal battle with Amber Heard about a domestic abuse situation. Yeah. And they ruled in her favor, but he's still set on the fact that she was the one abusing him.
Yeah.
So what I've seen, and this is not, I'm not 100% set on this, but I think, so they got her on tape or camera admitting to it, and she was telling, like, this was like, I don't know if Johnny was filming it or something, but it was just them, and she was yelling at him saying, they won't believe you, I'm a woman, they won't believe you, they'll think you're lying, I'll tell them that you're lying. They got her on tape doing that. And so pretty much everyone believes that Johnny Depp was abused. There's some speculation that it also went the other way, because it was just a whole toxic relationship in general.
Right.
But there's no, as far as I'm aware, there's no actual evidence of Johnny Depp abusing Amber Heard. Not that it doesn't exist, but I don't think there's any actual evidence of it right now. So that's why a lot of people were shocked that the judge ruled in Amber's favor.
That's so fucked up, because, like, I mean, look, I'm not a fan of Fantastic Beasts. I could honestly give less of a shit about it, but, like, I'm all in for Johnny Depp's side. I don't like, and what's, like, Amber Heard to us, man? Like, she's just a budget Scarlett Johansson. Like, I mean, like, I'm just stating the facts here. Like, I'm not gonna miss her in Aquaman 3. Like, give that man a new bitch,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, is a lot of people want to boycott the movies with. It depends on what side you're on. I think there's more people on Johnny's side, but they want to boycott Aquaman because of Amber Heard's role in it. And I don't know the response from the production companies and movie studios and stuff on this all, but
Warner Brothers fired John, or they asked him to leave. I don't know if they technically fired him. It was a quote unquote mutual understanding. But it's weird to me that Warner Brothers also owns Aquaman. So they would, I mean, even if this, I don't understand why they wouldn't fire both of them. Like, even if they were, if they were going to fire Johnny Depp, which I don't necessarily think they should have, why would they not fire both of them? That makes no sense to me at all.
That's the safest option, is to fire both of them, because nobody knows, like, what they're trying to say is like, oh, well, we don't know the facts yet. So why not just fire both of them, since they're both being accused of the same shit?
Right, yeah, I'm not even speaking ethically. I just mean, like, from a business standpoint, like, get rid of both. You don't want that riffraff. Like, you don't want that trouble.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that surprises me is Amber is literally on tape, like admitting to it and telling that she'll lie, say that he hit her, all this like abuse or all this stuff, and she wasn't fired. It's interesting.
It's very interesting. There's,
maybe there's more to it that I don't know behind the scenes and things like that.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, because like there's just a lot that I feel like we don't know, and then there's a lot of probably misinformation out there. So it's kind of a
Well, I should say this from the get-go as like a disclaimer: we are not qualified to be passing down any sort of sentence for either of them.
No. I don't know all the information. I want to make that clear. I don't know all the information.
No, I don't either. This is just what I hear, what I see as a headline on the, I haven't looked too far into this.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation doesn't really affect my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
But it is interesting to talk about. And it does call into question what they're going to do with a lot of other people in Hollywood who are, I guess making problems. But it also, to me, it's like, where do we, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but what is something that's like actually bad, and where do we draw the line of what gets people fired or what gets people canceled, quote unquote? Because it seems like there's a very, very wide range, and people sort of group different people together based on different things that they've done, which have levels of, how horrible it is. Some people do some things that aren't, it's a little questionable, but then they get grouped into people like Harvey Weinstein or something. I don't know. I think that's an interesting thing to talk. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I just think that's an interesting conversation to have of like, well, where do you guys think the line is for something like that?
That's a hard one, man.
It's hard because I don't have all the evidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Especially with the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp stuff.
Yeah. I wasn't in the court. I have no idea, or I wasn't, a fly on the wall. But it's. If it's true on either end, I think they should be fired. If it's not true, then Warner Brothers should apologize and bring him back. Yeah, absolutely. And I think we kind of buried the headline because Seabass is right. Fantastic Beasts is really shitty.
I haven't seen it and don't care to see it.
The first one isn't bad. The first one's actually kind of a good movie. The second one is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
Damn.
And I don't know what happened. I mean, I know J.K. Rowling kind of lost her fucking mind. And that's kind of been an ongoing process for a while where she's sort of fake inclusive. She talked about how there were all these people in her stories that were gay and lesbian and different races, nationalities,
but
whatever.
Not trans.
No, that was the other thing, was her pretty appalling trans comments. That was funny to me too. You write this like crazy fantasy world, and I'm like, so dragons are fine, but you draw the line at trans people. Like,
I mean, it's a fine line. They're technically the same, right? Is that?
What if you identify as a dragon?
True. What if
true.
that?
Yeah. Then you fit right into the Harry Potter universe, I guess.
The ending of this podcast might get us canceled, but
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's nice to know if we're ever famous how we're going to get canceled. That's, it's comforting.
I'm calling it right now.
Episode 4.
It was way back on episode 4.
I'm going to have to go back and delete all this. No, I mean, clearly we're saying that's not right. I mean,
yeah,
all of her comments were terrible, and man, it's always interesting to me when you have a movie like Venom, which is clearly the product of a studio interfering with everything, like every aspect of the production.
In a good way, because that's a fucking masterpiece.
Because it's an amazing movie, right? Piece of shit. But that to me is clear studio meddling. This movie was written by J.K. Rowling and it was directed by David Yates, who did the past 4 other Harry Potter movies. This was 100% their creation, and they did everything wrong. Like, you had all the choices, and you made every single bad choice. It's like when M. Night Shyamalan directed The Last Airbender. It's almost the same.
We're bringing out all the hard hitters today, huh?
Yeah.
It's going to be a crowded thumbnail.
I was literally like 10 minutes ago we were talking. I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do for the thumbnail. It's going to look like the Super Smash Brothers roster.
There you go. There you go. That's perfect.
Oh my God.
Everyone is here.
Speaking of that, this is kind of a tangent, I guess, but I thought it was really funny on our Twitter page, which no one has followed yet, so please follow it. It's in links in the description below. But on the banner that I made, our profile picture covers up the first word, so it says lit screen media, and I was like, I'm gonna keep that.
Yeah, please do.
I think we need to change our name again.
We change it every 2 episodes. It's all right.
Every 2 episodes.
That would be funny if we actually, like, if a bunch of people started watching this and they had to re-find our podcast every time they wanted to listen to it.
I feel like that's not good for keeping brand consistency.
No,
Yeah.
The SEO would be a nightmare for that, but
I mean, that'd be so hip and cool, so fresh.
it would be
Tag.
very Childish Gambino of us to do that.
Yeah.
Can we talk about his comments for like 30 minutes? Because he's all the shit that he's been saying. Like, I feel like as I get older and more grumpy, I like him less and less. And I don't know. His new stuff, he was like, oh, Atlanta season 3 and season 4 are only going to be rivaled by The Sopranos. And y'all thought I was hot in 2018. Check me now, or something like that. And then his last album was just like, the songs didn't have titles. They were just like the timestamps of the song. And part of me is just like, fuck you, dude. Like, I'm not in college anymore. I don't have like that, like, ooh, everything's art mentality. Like, I'm just sick of his shit, dude.
Just re-released because of the internet, and we'll be good.
Yeah, that's a great album.
Yeah. No, I mean, I liked a couple songs on his new one, but I can't tell you the names of them, which is a problem. So
yeah. Oh, I really liked 1526. That was my favorite.
wait, is that actually?
No, I don't know. I made that up. Well, it sucks because like he was so bad in Solo, and I mean so bad. And after that, he put out This Is America, which I think is one of the best music videos possibly ever made. That song is amazing. That video is amazing. Like, everything about that moment in Childish Gambino's career was awesome. And then immediately after that, he puts out this fucking album with no titles, and and he does The Lion King, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You were on top. I don't understand.
He just wants to do new things. I mean, like, it's like the Kanye mentality, you know? Like, I already like know what's gonna work. Let me do some new shit. I mean, that's just what he wants to do.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like he's not crazy enough to do what Kanye does, though. You know what I mean? Like, he's still in his right mind, so he doesn't have that ability to just be like, I'm gonna put out an album and it's 45 minutes of me farting, and everyone's like, oh my god, it's amazing.
I can't wait for Kanye's new album to come out. The Electoral College Dropout.
That was such a great joke when I saw. He actually got enough votes in, I think it was Colorado, to be on the Google list.
Yep.
Like, it was Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Joe Jorgensen, and then Kanye West was like right under that.
Yep.
That's an accomplishment. I'd wear that with pride.
That's an amazing writing campaign, because he was not on the ballot for that state.
He wasn't?
No.
Wow.
So someone, I don't know, maybe they made a Colorado Facebook page. I don't know what happened, but they got him 5,000 votes, which is really impressive.
It was like 60,000. Maybe that's nationwide.
That might, well, I don't know actually, because there could have been other states where he had more, but for that one, I think it was like 5,000.
Look it up. Kanye West.
Either way, I'm bummed that he's not president.
He's fifth on Vermont. Let's see how many. This is BBC. Yeah, he got 60,000. It's a news network. Chill.
I just wanted to, point it out. It's a sketch name.
60,000 votes nationwide.
Yeah.
I mean,
Joe Jorgensen got 1.5 million.
that's maybe even more surprising.
Oh, he tweeted out on November 4th, Kanye 2024 in front of an election map. I don't know.
Let's
I
get it
don't know if he's
started.
joking. 250,000 people liked it on Twitter. Oh, man.
I love his spirit. Oh, dude, did you? Okay, you guys saw the Lil Pump thing, right?
Oh,
Lil
yeah.
Pimp? Lil Pimp?
Lil Pimp?
Lil Pimp, Little
Lil
Pimp.
Little
Yeah, I saw that. He still defends like his decision and what he says and everything.
Well, I mean, he's popular again now because of it.
Yeah.
I mean, love or hate, love or hate, he's still popular.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he lost a lot of followers on Twitter.
all publicity is good publicity or whatever, right?
I just love that he said MAGA 2020.
2020. He's said several times.
I mean,
I'm
when
like,
you
does
see
he
it
not
on
know-
that lean, I mean, you can't judge him.
This dude is 20 millennia ahead of us.
You can see the future, man.
I was like, he doesn't know that 2020 is like the year. It's so good. Oh man, everything about that was a disaster, and I love every second of it.
It was a good little last minute laugh to like distract you from watching the race.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should say at the time of filming this, a winner has been called, and we just waited an entire week for it because some states were taking a hot ass minute to count those votes, but we're here now.
I
Everything's
put a
good.
note on mine when I turned it in Philly and said just wait a week to count this. That's what held them all up.
Yeah.
Because they stopped. They're like, well, we can't get through the rest of this pile because we have to wait for this one. So I'm sorry.
Oh, so it was like solitaire, all of them underneath.
Yeah.
They kept flipping through the ballots, being like, "Oh, we finally got the one we need," and then it just all fell in place.
I don't know what was going on in Nevada, dude. They had less votes than anybody else.
Is Alaska still not called yet?
No,
They have like
No,
four,
they're at 50%, I think.
50. How is there 50%? There's 3 people.
it's 58% now.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's obviously going to go to Trump, but yeah, it's 58% right now.
Yeah.
I'm
How
glad that we are finally caught up where we're recording pretty like close to when we air.
Yeah, no, it's nice because before I felt like on the last episode we were talking about Halloween and we put it up like 5 days after Halloween.
Yeah, even that was a pretty close one. I think the first one we recorded, you said there was like a debate or something, and it was like after there's like the first debate and it was after the final debate when we put it up.
Right. People had no idea which debate we were talking about. It was the first debate though. Yeah, it'll be nice. So yeah, I guess for everybody watching, we're gonna be, we kind of had a couple episodes backlogged just to sort of put out content for you guys, and then now it's gonna be we record either Sunday or Monday, and then we'll be uploading every Friday. Hopefully around like 7 or 8, we'll get the video out in the morning. So you guys, if you want to watch it on your commute to work or anything like that, you'll be able to do it. Not to pull back the curtain too much, but I figured some transparency would be nice.
Yeah, we want to bump that up a little closer to when we record, but I think we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, we still got some stuff to do, and just be on the lookout, I guess, for what we're gonna be doing next. I know we're gonna try and experiment with maybe doing a background. We had an idea for like either having pictures or playing videos, like putting those up for whatever we're discussing, just so you guys can kind of follow along. But it's all about making it as best possible content we can. So
Better
let us know
equipment.
if you have any suggestions. Let us know.
Yeah, better equipment.
Or you can subscribe You can buy that YouTube Premium, play in the background on your way to work. This is sponsored by YouTube. I use it religiously. $16.99 a month. A little overpriced, but you know it's worth it sometimes.
Don't say that. They'll never sponsor us. It's a great deal.
That's what, 3 cups of coffee? So it's the price of 3 cups of coffee.
3 cups of coffee. Depends on what kind of coffee.
If it's Starbucks, it's like half a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Well,
That's like
Connor, I heard you switched to the YouTube Premium, right? No ads?
Oh, dude, it's the best decision I've ever made.
So good.
Yeah,
I also have it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I'm not alone. I'm the poor sucker that like got used to. I was like, I'll just do it for the free month and then whatever. And then I was like, fucking ads, and you know, I can't fucking do this anymore. And I like being able to play videos in the background while I'm driving. So I can like just listen to stuff and like podcasts like this. I can just listen in the background because like they're not on iTunes or something. So it's just really nice.
Yeah, that's a great segue into what hopefully will be happening soon, which is that it'll be on a bunch of different streaming services. So however you guys want to watch it, you can. I don't know if you know who this person is. I won't say their name because I don't want to call them out, and I also don't have the name in front of me. But they wrote on one of the last videos a way for us to put it on a bunch of different streaming services at once. Like there's like a website you can use. So I'm going to look into that, and you know, hopefully we can sort of get that out there. But yeah, Seabass, I feel like it's the same thing with Spotify. I had free Spotify for so long and I was fine with it. And then as soon as I started paying for it, my eyes were opened and I could never go back to like the trash, the peasant ad Spotify.
That's me with YouTube Premium, man.
Just how it's going to be. What time are we at, Chris?
So I was just going to mention that we're about an hour, couple minutes over an hour. Do you want to talk about one more topic or call it a day?
I think we probably end it right here. I think it's a good time to stop.
Okay, we'll save the other topic for next time then.
All right, cool. Well, yeah. Well, that was a perfect thing to end talking about all the stuff that we're going to be doing upcoming here. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you like it, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much, Seabass, for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Seabass.
No problem. Can I do one shameless plug real quick?
Dude, absolutely.
I've been into making some videos lately to, pay my rent. You can find me at Fat Daddy Jackson at pornhub.com.
Link in the description.
Link in the description. Just please subscribe. You don't have to subscribe. That's too much to ask, but please check out my content. It's a little amateur, but we'll get there.
Donate,
Donate? I mean, I haven't set that up yet.
Can you donate on Pornhub?
I think you have to be verified. I'm not verified yet.
You'll get there, though.
You got to get that simple.
Yeah.
Once you get that check mark, the cash will floweth. I guarantee you.
I just want to surpass Belle Delphine, my queen.
I don't know if it's a real link or not, but I'm going to link that in the description. I will put that in there.
Can we do that and not get flagged?
I don't know, but I'm going to do it.
All right.
If it's not a real link, I don't think they can. Why don't I just link? How about this? We'll split the difference. I'll just link to Pornhub. That's it. They can find it from there.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Well, on that note, yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.